I grew up in a family that valued performance highly. I earned straight A's. I didn't smoke or drink or hang out with the wrong crowd. And so in my eyes, I was quite a righteous person.
I grew up in the church. It was something that we did on Sunday morning. We'd get dressed up and put on our smiles. Church didn't mean anything to me. In my teens, I started hanging out with the wrong crowd and partying and drinking and using drugs and really filling in me an emptiness.
College was a confusing time for me. I broke up with my boyfriend because of his unfaithfulness. So I felt betrayed and lonely and very vulnerable. When a friend of mine from high school invited me to study the Bible with her, I accepted. She was a part of University Bible Fellowship. UBF took more and more of my time and eventually asked me to marry a man whom I did not like. I was isolated from friends. I had no friends aside from people in UBF. After refusing to marry him several times, I became worn down and I finally gave in and I said yes to marrying him.
In my 20s, I traded alcoholism for workaholism, and I was working 60, 70 hours a week. When I was 27, I met some other people and I saw for the first time like a mirror of myself. I knew I was all mixed up. I wasn't going to church. I knew higher power from AA meetings, but I was just lost.
A week after the wedding, my husband confessed to me that he was in an adulterous relationship with another woman in UBF. I needed to talk to a Christian who correctly handles the word of truth, and Moody Radio came into my mind. The only number that I could recall was Dr. Tony Evans, the Urban Alternative Ministry. A pastor from that ministry talked to me and I briefly told him what happened and what UBF told me. One of his very first questions to me was, "Hazel, are you in a cult?" And before I could respond, he said, "Get yourself and your husband out of there quickly." And so that night I left. 6 months later, I came back to get my husband out of UBF. He decided to stay, and that's when I told him, "I cannot follow you in the cult. I need to follow Christ."
My parents got a divorce. My stepmom brought real Christianity into the home, and they invited me to a Bible study. For the first time, I saw people that wanted to be in church. And I'm like, well, this is weird. The people are actually glad to be here. And I kept going, met some people. I got into a seeker small group and did a lot of listening. My favorite verse is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, to give you a hope and a future. And so fast forward 5 years, and that's when I met Hazel in a Bible study.
When I first met Dave, he just exuded joy in leading the Bible study.
We started hanging out with our group of friends in our Bible study, doing a couple of social things. And then over the next year or two, we eventually got married in 2003. Where do our activities and life, our faith and leadings from the Holy Spirit come together?
One of the highlights of our marriage is paying off our mortgage and becoming completely debt-free. And we did it using Financial Peace University. Dave and I have been so blessed with the financial freedom that we've experienced that we want to share it with others. And the other one is our decision to homeschool. We want our kids to think biblically and to have a biblical worldview.
When we're with neighbors and they see we're different, where does that difference come from? What's the driving force behind us?
We want to tell them the story, how Christ changed our lives, and we want them to be saved as well. We want to see them in heaven. We love them.